The air inside the federal courtroom had always been heavy throughout the trial, but on day 5 it was electric. The temperature didn't change, the lighting remained the same, but something was undeniably different. Tension clung to every surface. Sean Diddy Combs sat silently at the defense table, his eyes trained on the floor, fingers interlocked as if trying to keep something buried. By then, the damage had already started accumulating. But nothing, not even the damning testimony, leaked footage, or the media firestorm, could prepare the room for what was coming. Because no one, not even Diddy himself, expected 50 Cent to show up. He didn't just enter, he made a statement. Dressed sharply in gray, sunglasses shielding, his gaze, he walked into the courtroom with a kind of calm that made people uncomfortable. No entourage, no bravado, just purpose. Every camera outside had been waiting for a glimpse, but inside, there was only silence. As he took a seat near the back, folding his arms and fixing his eyes on Diddy, the weight of his presence sunk in, like a boulder crashing into a still lake. For over a decade, 50 Cent had been Diddy's most consistent public critic. What had once been dismissed as industry beef or petty rivalry now felt more like prophecy. He'd been warning people, and suddenly, it seemed like he was right all along. Diddy's legal team scrambled, whispering urgently, flipping through folders, as though looking for a way out. Diddy, on the other hand, froze. Not in fear, but in realization. This wasn't a stunt. This was a reckoning. During the midday recess, 50 Cent spoke to reporters gathered outside the courthouse. He didn't hold back. "I've watched this business protect predators for too long," he said plainly. "Cassie's not alone in this anymore." His words weren't designed to shock, they were meant to wound, to expose. He detailed how he'd supported Cassie's legal team behind the scenes. He mentioned photos, phone records, and even a sworn statement from a former bodyguard who had once worked for Diddy. But what shook the building wasn't what he had said. It was what he promised. 50 announced he was funding an independent investigation. Not a documentary, not a podcast, but a real inquiry with private investigators to dig into Diddy's past. "This isn't for clicks," he said. "It's for the people who were too scared to talk. Until now." Back inside the courtroom, Diddy was visibly shaken. He wouldn't look at the jury. He didn't glance toward the gallery. Even his breathing had changed, shallow, erratic. As court resumed, Cassie walked in to retake the stand. Something in her had changed. She was composed before, but now she was defiant. The quiet strength of someone who knows the tide is finally turning in their favor. Her voice cut through the silence with precision. She confirmed she had been working with 50 Cent's team. Messages, voice notes, timelines, even old footage had been shared with investigators. The room hung on every word. She described events she hadn't been able to face in previous days. In 2017, she said she was locked inside a guest house for 48 hours. The offense? A text to another artist. He said I embarrassed him, that I was his property. The defense jumped to object. Overruled. She described the rules of Diddy's world, how she had to ask for permission to speak, how her every movement was monitored. This wasn't love. It was command and submission. And then, with a calm resolve, she looked toward the gallery. "Some of you here have seen it. I hope you say something too." Her gaze was like a spotlight, cutting across the sea of silence. That's when Diddy cracked. Cassie spoke of an incident in Miami, being locked in a room for speaking to an industry executive. As she described the humiliation, Diddy shifted. His foot began to bounce. He leaned toward his lawyer, then back again. Then, suddenly, he slammed his hand against the table and shouted, "That's not what happened!" The sound silenced the courtroom. It was the outburst everyone feared, and the moment his mask fully slipped. The judge raised her gavel. "Mr. Combs, this is your only warning." But Diddy wasn't done. His eyes locked on 50 Cent at the back of the room. "You've been waiting for this, haven't you? You'll regret it." Security immediately stepped in. 2 guards flanked his seat. Another stood between Diddy and the gallery, but 50 didn't move. He leaned back further, one leg crossed over. The other, his eyes steady and unreadable. Cassie didn't pause. She resumed her testimony, undeterred. The judge didn't call for a recess. She let the silence settle like dust over shattered glass. As Diddy unraveled, 50 Cent rose. Outside the courthouse, the media caught fire. His courthouse statement went viral within minutes. Clips resurfaced from as far back as 2009, interviews where he warned about Diddy's behavior. Warnings that were laughed off then but now played like foreshadowing in a courtroom drama no one saw coming. Celebrities who had once remained quiet began to stir. Usher unfollowed Diddy on Instagram. Mary J. Blige wiped their photos from her profile. Justin Bieber deleted posts, then cryptically wrote, "Sometimes we learn too late who people really are." Cardi B tweeted, "Protect women, no matter how powerful the man is." Drake liked a post calling Diddy a coward. Even actors and athletes began sharing messages of support for Cassie. The tipping point came when a longtime producer, previously anonymous, broke his silence on social media. "I worked on 3 of his albums. I saw things. I stayed quiet. Not anymore." That single post reached over 300,000 likes within hours. Meanwhile, inside Diddy's media company, revolt, chaos unfolded. Advertisers withdrew. Sponsors backed out of upcoming launches. Emergency meetings were held. One employee anonymously stated, "Nobody wants to be the last person defending him when this all collapses." And all the while, 50 Cent kept posting. Not gloating, not trolling, but reaffirming his support. One post showed a photo of him and Cassie backstage years ago, captioned, "You always deserved better." Another simply said, "Day 5. It starts here." Cassie returned to the stand for her second round of testimony that week. This time, she revealed the mechanics behind the abuse. She called it control architecture. Travel, schedule, social. Interactions. Everything was designed to isolate her. She recalled Diddy slapping a phone from her hand when she laughed at another artist's joke. "He said I embarrassed him, that I didn't know how to act." Then came the audio. A recording, never played publicly before. On it, Diddy's voice, unmistakable. "Don't test me, Cass. You know what happens when you push me." You could hear a pin drop. Her legal team said it was recovered from a forgotten iCloud sync. The defense tried to suppress it. They failed. Though, audio was a death blow. Diddy slumped in his chair. One of his lawyers tried to whisper something, but he didn't respond. He stared at the device playing the recording like it had betrayed him. Court adjourned shortly after. The gallery emptied in silence. Even those once loyal now seemed distant. This trial was never just about one woman's story. It became about every unchecked abuse, every whisper behind closed doors, every warning ignored. Day 5 wasn't just a day in court. It was the day the curtain was pulled back and the world finally saw what stood behind the glitter and music. And it was 50 Cent, not a lawyer or a judge, who dealt the most crushing blow. As court closed, that afternoon, one juror leaned back and whispered to another, "He's not who I thought he was." And outside, the headlines had already changed. Diddy unravels, Cassie holds strong, and 50 Cent, the witness who wasn't. Because on that day, silence didn't just break, it roared.